Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go. Welcome, everyone. This is the Navigate Info session for programs that are starting in 2025. My goal is that by the end of this session, you'll have all the information that you need to know if Navigate is the right fit for you. So I hope that I've designed this in a way that you'll see yourself reflected in these first few things I'm going to talk about. And that's how you'll know, like, okay, she made this program for me. So here's what we're covering today. The first is the biggest mindset shift that is holding you back from making progress in publication. Number two are the 3 mistakes that most academics make when they try to publish their backlog of papers. And finally, we'll go through all the details of how to apply for the Navigate program for our round that is starting in the new year. Okay, so let me see if this is the right fit for you, if I know these things about you. One is that you're dedicated and you're passionate about your research and your research area, but you're starting to feel like your backlog of papers is overwhelming. Also, you probably juggle multiple roles and responsibilities, like running a research lab, directing a program, mentoring students, teaching service, caregiving. You do a lot of things. You have a lot of roles. And you're determined to succeed without sacrificing your well-being. So a lot of times people who are thinking about Navigate get to this point because they've been trying to juggle these multiple roles for a long time. And they're realizing the toll it's taking on them stress-wise or in terms of how they feel about their job. And they're like, no, there must be a better way. Also about you, you know that you need to manage the influx of requests on your time. Requests from your department, from your colleagues, from students, which, by the way, are all the result of you being awesome. People want to work with you, but so many requests are coming your way that is contributing to your backlog of papers because there's a lot of pressure on your time. Again, for good reasons, because people want to work with you, but it can be difficult to publish when you're so committed. Also, you know that your voice should be out there impacting your field and the world, but you struggle to find the time and sometimes, honestly, the motivation to write. So I'm Kathy Mazak. I'm a former tenured full professor, and I help professors publish their backlog of papers by doing 3 things. Honing mission-driven decision-making. You're going to hear me talk a lot about decision-making today. Number 2, developing time and project management skills. And number 3, creating a sustainable writing practice. And my big mission is to change the culture of academia by radically altering the career experience of 1,000 women and non-binary professors by 2030. And the clock is ticking. So I realized, like, oh my, we are in 2025 already. And changing the culture of academia is not necessarily going to happen by 2030. But my philosophy is that if you affect the lives and careers of professors, you create a ripple effect of your influence and changing culture and changing expectations and humanizing academia by helping those people then to change their perspectives when they work with their students and their colleagues and everyone else. So it's a ripple effect kind of idea. So a little bit about me. I have 3 kiddos. You'll see me and my son there. That's on our farm. Here, our family runs a dairy farm. It's going great. No, it's a lot. And he was pitching hay there. So that's my middle one. My littlest one here is the one who really pushed me over the edge to start doing this kind of work that I'm doing now. Once she was born, I was already tenured and full. And I was kind of like, I want to make a big change and I want to have more of an impact than I was having previously. But the one who really kind of created this program, besides me, is this one, my little clone, Mariana, who is graduating from high school this year. She was the one that when she was a baby, which was my second year on the tenure track, she was just so very needy that she made me have to fit my workday into the time that she was at daycare. And so a lot of the things that I still teach in Navigate came from me figuring out how to do that. And so she instigated the process that I have honed over the, that's like 17 years that she's been around. And what I really learned from doing that is that you can design your career to be what you want. So you'll hear me say this in the podcast. You'll hear me all the time say, like, you are the agent in your career. You're the designer. You get to make choices and decisions that create your career the way you want it to be. So let's dig into the main content of today's presentation. So the number one mindset shift that is holding you back from publishing your backlog of papers. So you're not publishing your backlog of papers because you think you are flawed or that something is wrong with you. That's what you think, right? This shows up in three ways. One, you think you have shiny object syndrome and you blame that for your backlog, right? So a lot of people will come in kind of with the thoughts or the story, I need to, or I love to do the new thing. And I keep getting kind of attracted to the new thing. And that's why I have a backlog of papers, because I'm not finishing anything. So that's one kind of thought that people bring to their backlog of papers. Another one is, I have this backlog because I say yes too much, right? Again, this puts the blame on you for the backlog. And the final one, or the most common way that this shows up, is that you think that you have an attention problem or a motivation problem or a procrastination problem. And again, this is like blaming you. So all of these put the blame for having the backlog of papers on you. And that is not a mindset that will help you publish that backlog of papers. Because actually, it's not you. It's the racist, ableist patriarchy. The choices that you've made up until now are not a flaw in your character. They are a logical reaction to the pressures that academic culture has put on you. And I could rant on this for a long time, but let me just say that when the culture of academia is telling you to say yes all the time, is telling you that you might be missing out on opportunities, all of that leads to this feeling of like, I have to do more. That leads to the backlog of papers, and that keeps that guilt on you. But now you get to make new choices. Now you can think about like, well, what worked for me before when I was reacting to what other people were asking me to do, or when I was a student, or like, what were the things that worked for me earlier in my career? Many of them don't work anymore. As you progress through the career, you need to shift the way that you approach your writing and publishing. So here's somebody who's done that. This is Selena. As a new mom, she was trying to figure out how her goals and values could align with her dreams in academia. And she says that Navigate helped her turn her dreams into reality. Through Navigate, I've found strength in community, and the amazing coaches got the book contract I dreamed of and continue to have doors open that align with my academic mission. This is fantasy. She was overburdened with off-mission responsibilities that were really great opportunities. Like, this woman had amazing offers and opportunities galore, but they were holding her back from publishing. And Navigate helped her strategically cut back on her workload. And she says, that she just really wants to thank the program and the structure that it brought. She says, I have known for a long time I've needed to make these types of changes, but Navigate gave me the way to hold myself accountable to do it for myself. So again, a lot of agency there. So you've probably tried to solve this problem of having a backlog of papers already. But there are 3 mistakes that most academics make when they're trying to publish their backlog of papers. So mistake number 1, see if these resonate with you. You think you just need time. Like really you're thinking like, if I had extra hours every week, if I had an extra day a week. But when you schedule time, like when you try to put more time into writing and publishing, like you just collapse because you get to this spot in your schedule where you're supposed to be working on writing and you're so tired that you can't do it, or something derails the time that you schedule, or you don't know where to start, or you don't hold those boundaries around the time that you think you need. So you think it's time, but actually it's not just time. You absolutely need better decision-making, highly developed time and project management skills, and consistent practices. So you can have a lot of time, but if you don't have the practice that goes with it, you're not going to be making the best use of your time. So all of these things help you hold those boundaries around time, the decision-making, the time and project management skills, and the consistent practices. Another mistake that people make when they're trying to solve this problem of getting their backlog of papers out is you blame collaborators and students for slowing down your pipeline. Because some people will say like, well, doing a program like Navigate sounds good, but really my problem is that I am always managing my collaborators and co-writers, or I'm always writing with students. And so the problem is them, not me. But you're also stalled out on projects that you're totally in control of. So what you really need to do to solve this problem is to master your writing and project management skills so that you can be a leader when writing with others. The one way to think of it is kind of developing your own systems and practices, managing your own mindset so that you can manage others and their relationship to the publications more effectively. So it's not just them, it's also you kind of getting your house in order to be the leader that you need to for your papers to get out in the world. And mistake number 3, you think it will eventually get better, like, oh, my backlog of papers will resolve itself when I get tenure and I can start to say no to things, or after I get out of this admin stint, like I'm the program director and that's taking up all my time. And so I'll just, I'll solve the problem later. Or whatever, when X happens, she's looking out into like the future, right? Like it'll get better some other time out there. But nothing gets better unless you make it better. Because remember, we're operating in this culture of academia that wants us to be overworked. It's a culture that glorifies busy, right? It's a culture that makes you feel bad if you say no. It puts publications up on a pedestal, but not writing, right? Like it wants you to you get praise, you might get promoted for having all these publications. But if you tell people I can't go to that meeting because I'm writing, people look at you sideways. So nothing gets better unless you make it better, because just getting tenure will not necessarily change things. Like getting tenure changes everything and nothing, right? Like obviously it gives you job stability in a way that other things might not, or that you haven't had yet in your career. So yes, there's qualitative change to it. There might be a raise that goes along with it. But unless you change your mindset and develop your decision-making skills, just the mere fact of getting tenure will not magically change the way you say yes and no to things. You need to become a better designer of your career, okay? You can manage your time and projects even with an admin position. We get quite a few people every round in Navigate who are looking to do just that and who manage to do it successfully. And you can own your own agency and stop just reacting to what other people want you to do or to the demands of your department or your university, and start acting, right? Embrace creation over reaction. So I've developed a framework to help you design your career to align with your academic mission, develop your pipeline and project management skills, create sustainable writing practices that lead to publication, all while shifting your mindset out of reaction and fear and into creation and abundance. And that is our Navigate framework. So this is just a visual representation of the things that I've been talking about. So there's three main areas for professional development and skill development: pipeline and project management, mission and alignment, and writing practice. And all of that is wrapped in a big hug of beliefs and mindset, because without the belief that you can make change, without the belief that you're the agent, the designer of your career, you can't have the mindset that is necessary in order to make the changes that you really need to make. So that's why that beliefs and mindset kind of wraps up the three main skill areas that we're looking to build. I like to think of 4 levels of publication development. So at the high multi-project planning level, like how are you planning your publication pipeline, right? So if you have a backlog of papers, the metaphor that we kind of use for this, right, is like a clogged pipeline. So having a high level multi-project plan represented as your publication pipeline is really important, as well as I call it the writing roadmap, which is the year-long kind of vision of like, how are you going to get these papers through your publication pipeline in the context of all the other things that you're doing throughout an academic year. The next level, so that's like the high level, the multi-project level. The next level is the writing project management level. That's like in each individual writing project, and I think of a writing project as the simplest one is a article, right? A book is really like a big project made up of many projects. But regardless, the writing project management level is where you learn how to break projects into tasks, how to identify how long it takes you to do those tasks, you know, how long this thing is going to take you to finish writing, and manage your time there. And then drilling down more, weekly time management. So you can have a beautiful project plan, but if you don't have the time in your week in order to enact the plan, then you can't finish your writing projects. So on the weekly time management level, we're talking about making space in your calendar, having a weekly schedule that makes writing consistent. It doesn't have to be every day, but that there's like a pattern or a consistent drumbeat to the writing practice. And then the writing practice design. And what I mean by that is when you finally have those spaces on your calendar, how do you make sure that you're optimizing each writing session so that your writing sessions are really working for you and are working to continue to have your publications flow? So if you want to publish your backlog of papers, you need to intentionally develop your skills and mindset around each of these areas. 2 things, skills and mindset. And that is the framework that the Navigate program is built on. So Navigate helps tenure-track women and non-binary professors publish their backlog of papers so that their voice can have the impact they know is possible. Navigate is an application-only program. We're forming our next cohort of professors at any career stage who have published at least 1 article in a peer-reviewed academic journal and are sitting on 3+ article drafts in various stages of done, from it could just be an outline or figures to having several sections written. So those are the 2 kind of things we're looking for when you apply. The reason to have published at least 1 article is that if you haven't figured that out from what I've been saying already, this is not a program that teaches you the nuts and bolts of how to write an article. We assume that you come in having the basic knowledge of how to write an article in your field. From that level all the way to you have published many articles in your field. And then that you have kind of like article drafts that you are sitting on. That's that backlog of papers, right? So it's really a program that's designed to help you with the project management side of things and the time management so that you can get those backlog of papers out. So this is our criteria for entry into the program. It's a 12-week writing and publishing program that combines recorded training with live group coaching. And again, through the program, we are working on these 4 levels of publication development. We start at that top multi-project level, and we drill down to the writing practice design. As we do that, we are working on a low-hanging fruit project. So in the first beginning of the program, we are giving you tools to choose what that low-hanging fruit project is. And as we work every week, there's like mini curriculum to help you continue to make progress so that at the end of the 12 weeks, you have submitted one of these papers that has been sitting there in your kind of backlog of papers. That way, each week, the skills and the mindsets that we're teaching inside of the content, you're applying it to a specific project. So during Navigate, besides submitting that project by the end of the 12 weeks, you will have a clearly articulated academic mission statement and a process for using it to guide your decision-making, to rein in overwhelm and leverage your time. You will also have a mapped out publication pipeline, which serves as a high-level project plan for your publication submissions over the next year. You'll create a process for breaking writing projects into tasks and completing those tasks in a powerfully predictable way. You will have a mission-driven plan for time management that ensures time to think and to write. And you will have one or more, because sometimes people actually submit more than one, of your low-hanging fruit articles submitted for publication by the end of the 12-week session. So just to summarize this, we call that your Navigate portfolio, that you have your pipeline map, that's your multi-project plan, your academic mission statement, your ideal week, your soaring system plan, and your low-hanging fruit article submitted. So those are kind of like 5 actual products that you will create during the program. The result of Navigate is a sustainable writing and publication process that will help you publish your backlog of papers and get your voice out in the world. We have a weekly rhythm in the program. A lot of people ask, how long does it take? What's the time commitment? On Mondays, the training module drops inside of Teachable, which is our learning management system. And we also just duplicate that same module, just the audio only, in a private podcast feed. That way you can either watch the video, which is very similar to this, or, like slides and with text on them, basically. And then, or you can listen on the go, right? Right in your podcast app. So that's Mondays. On Friday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time, which is New York City time, we meet over Zoom. So meetings alternate between a group coaching session and a co-writing session. So we're doing both group coaching and time sitting together and writing. The modules take about anywhere from between 25 to 35 minutes to complete. And there's always a little exercise or something to do in the recorded modules. Here's just a little snapshot of what it looks like. So you can kind of see, like you'll see that the week 2 is a 29-minute video. And then we always have this little low-hanging fruit mini curriculum as well, which is usually a 5 or 6 minute video. And then information about that week's call. So some results that past members have had, this is from Kirsty McAllum. She has a podcast interview in our main podcast feed if you want to listen to it. I cannot believe how much I've learned in the past 12 weeks. I thought I knew where my publications got stuck, but I realized that there were 3 points in the process where my publication slowed down or stopped making progress. And literally seeing it helped me to figure out how I could address these issues. Looking at the pipeline in light of my academic mission statement also helped me to cull 2 papers out of my pipeline completely. That was initially scary, but liberating. And what I am publishing is now far more aligned with what I want to do and the change I want to see in the world. Kirsty was an associate professor when she first entered the Navigate program. She did maybe 1 or 2 additional rounds with us. I'm going to explain what that means in a minute. And by the time she left the program, she had a new job back in her home territory of New Zealand and had really changed the amount of time that she was spending on work, liberating more free time on her weekends and creating much better balance in her life. Cindy Cordoba Arroyo says, the most important result I achieved during our program was gaining a clear understanding of my academic mission. This clarity has allowed me to critically evaluate my activities in terms of their alignment and my academic mission statement and their overall impact. Personally, this has provided me with a sense of direction and purpose, while professionally, it has streamlined my efforts towards more strategic and meaningful engagements. And she is a new professor. She's just in the first 2-3 years of her career. And she has really been able to create impactful publications because of her participation in Navigate. Another participant says, combining soaring time with the ideal week, those are 2 concepts we teach in the program, made me realize how much of my mental energy I'm giving to people, meetings, events that are part of my responsibilities as a member of my program, but aren't what will lead to my professional goals. I've said no to several opportunities this semester that seemed amazing on paper, but just did not really fit with my academic mission and goals. I wouldn't have known that or done that without going through Navigate. And I think this is the last one. Navigate helped bring awareness to the writing process in ways that made it more tangible and concrete. During my PhD, I was stumbling to figure it out. Now I understand every step of the pipeline so I can better organize my schedule. This has made things explicit, which has greatly helped me have a better sense of what to expect moving forward. Oh, one more. I read tons of stuff, tried many things, adopted several tools, but this is not just about becoming more efficient, but being more sustainable, more authentic, and actually learning strategies and systems to make things happen. I also really like the emphasis on the journey, the idea that change takes time. All right, so I'm going to go over the Navigate application process, and then I will do kind of our frequently asked questions, and then we'll open it up for any questions you might have. So it's a really simple 3-step application process. You apply. It takes 5 minutes. It is a little online form. You can do it right from your phone. Then you complete the Navigate benchmark assessment, which is our multiple choice assessment that I'm going to explain in detail in just a second. It is about a 20-question assessment that we do on your way into the program, and then after every 12-week round that you do with us. After you've submitted so once you apply and we've accepted your applications based on those 2 criteria that you've already published something and that you have a backlog of papers, then you fill out the Navigate benchmark assessment, which is just a simple self-assessment. Again, it's a form. You can do it right from your phone. Then we send you an invitation to enroll. And you can either most people, what they do at that point is they just go ahead and enroll either using their own credit card or their university's credit card. And I'm going to tell you what the tuition price is in a second. But sometimes people need to talk to a human. And in that case, there's an optional 15-minute phone call if needed that you can schedule with me to just say like, hey, I'm not sure about this. That phone call is to help you make a decision. So if you've already decided and you're ready to enroll, you can just go ahead and enroll. If you're unsure or need some kind of special, need to ask me something in particular, then you can schedule that optional 15-minute call. Those calls are limited. If you want to make sure you talk to somebody, or not somebody, me, then you should apply as soon as possible. So the call to action of this presentation is to get on the wait list. I'm going to tell you how to do it in a second. If you're not already on the wait list. That way, if you want to schedule a call with me, or if you want to just make sure you get your spot and you get through the application process quickly, then you want to be on the wait list so that you can apply as soon as we send the link out on December 30th. Then we will open the applications to the public on January 6th. So the wait list has a week to apply and enroll in advance of sending the link to my whole list and the general public. My list is about 13,000 people. So, if you want to make sure you get your spot, you want to get on the wait list. This is a picture of the benchmark assessment. It really takes about 5 to 7 minutes. At the most, don't overthink it too much. I'm going to explain to you about what the assessment is like. Basically, the assessment gives you 12 outcomes of the program and asks you to self-assess based on what we call levels of mastery. The first is unaware. Like I wasn't aware that this was something that I needed to do, right? Aware. I'm aware that this is something I need to do, but I'm not doing it. Okay. Learning, which is like I'm learning to do it, but I'm not really doing it consistently. Integration, which is where we're trying to get you to in the program. So I do this, it's integrated into my practice. Or mastery. This is something I do. I've made this my own. An example here, the first 2 outcomes are I've written down all the steps in my pipeline from idea to publication. And then you would rate yourself like, oh no, I didn't know that was something that was going to help me all the way through to mastery. Another example, I have all in-process writing projects mapped onto a publication pipeline. And you just self-assess. This helps me to know as you're coming into the program, like where you are. And then when you leave and you take the assessment again, you'll know what areas you still need to work on. Okay. The optional call, again, if you need to have specific questions answered that I don't answer today, you can schedule a 15-minute call, but after your application has been accepted and your benchmark assessment is complete. These calls book up fast, which is why you want to get on the wait list. So how do you get on the wait list? You just go to scholarsvoice.org/navigate. And when you go there now, it will say get on the wait list, that pink button. If applications are open, then it will say apply now on that pink button. So you just find the pink button and you get on the wait list. And that way you get the link to apply first. Okay, navigate round. So this is just something real quick to share with you. One of the questions I get a lot is like, how long does it take to master new writing and publication practices? Like, how long is it going to take me to get this backlog of papers out? It's not 12 weeks. So spoiler alert, it's a 12-week program, but you will not have fixed all your publication and writing problems in 12 weeks. We've worked with over 500 academics in our Navigate program, and we estimate that it takes 9, 12, maybe even 18 months of intentional practice to master the writing and publication skills, strategies, and mindsets that you start to learn in Navigate. So it doesn't happen in 12 weeks. Before joining the program, we expect, although there's always a mix in the benchmark assessment, but we expect people to come in unaware or aware in all the Navigate outcomes, right? And then as you do additional, like after your first round of the program, after the first 12 weeks, then we hope that on most things you will either be aware or learning. But it might take you additional rounds to go from learning to integration, and then from integration to mastery. So we have a system where you do the first 12 weeks with us at the tuition I'm about to tell you in a moment. And then it's about a third of the price, even a little less than a third of the price if you enroll early for every additional round. So you come back and then the round 2, I call them round 2 plus, right? Because it's people who are round 2, 3, even 4. They are in a separate group from the first timers. And there's a new workbook, but there's no new recorded content. And we're just continuing to develop that integration of skills so that they become practices. So there's a graphic representation of that, right? Like here's our Navigate framework with our beliefs and mindset. And this is what you call like a spiral curriculum, right? Like it is a curriculum that you will continue to be able to go back to throughout your career and deepen your practices around these different areas of the program. So that's represented here by this outer yellow circle. Okay, so you've been waiting for this if you don't know, although I say it all over the place, but in case you missed it, Navigate is $3,000 for the 12-week program, or if you want to do a payment plan, it's 4 payments of $850. Now, we encourage everyone to invest in themselves so that you can start the process of clearing your pipeline now, right when we start in the new year, on your terms. So make sure you get on the wait list. But some people will use university funding. So when you should start mobilizing funds, like you might be thinking, well, I guess I'll wait until applications open and I get accepted, and then I'll talk to my university about how to pay for it. Actually, you want to begin the request process now, even before you submit your application. So I've talked to you a lot about the criteria for applying and getting into the program. You should know by this point in our time together whether you think it's a good fit or not. So you can if you feel like you meet the requirements and it feels like a good fit to you, if what I've been saying today resonates, then find out now the process for your university to pay if you're going to be using university funds. Don't wait until applications open or it might be too late, because we have had people, want to enroll and have to wait 1 or 2 rounds before they can start. Life is totally different in 1 or 2 rounds from now. We want you to solve the problem now. Okay. So if this is something you can pay on a P card or on a university department card, then go ahead and find that out. Can I use the card myself? However you need to mobilize funds, now is the time to start asking for it. And also, if you are going to ask for funding because you don't have access to professional development funding, then the time to start asking is now. Okay, so some logistics. If you want to pay like with a P card and $3,000 is above your university's limit, we can absolutely break your payment into 2 payments. Just email us at support@scholarsvoice.org. And also, very important, we must receive payment by the enrollment deadline for you to participate in the cohort. You can't start the program unless your payment has been received, either the first of the multiple pays or the 3,000. So here's some important dates. The New Year cohort starts actually February 3rd. Applications open to the public January 6th, to the waitlist December 30th, which is a week before that. Enrollment closes on January 31st. So that's the last day that you can get your funds to us in order to participate. The program runs from Monday, February 3rd, which is when that first module drops for all the members, to April 25th. The first call is Friday, February 7th, and calls are on Fridays at noon Eastern Standard. If you're thinking about this, but you're thinking about it for the summer, here's the summer dates, just so that you have them, right? Applications open April 14th, enrollment closes May 9, program runs May 14th to July 30th, and in the summer, our calls are on Wednesdays at noon instead of Fridays. So what you want to do now is get on the wait list. If you have any questions before applications open, you can always write to us at support@scholarsvoice.org. So I'm just going to rapid fire a few frequently asked questions and then happy to answer anybody's questions. Why do applicants not get accepted to Navigate? So some people get a little bit tripped up on the application process. The application process is really a qualifying process, right? It's like, we need to make sure that this is the right program for you. And we do that. I read all the applications. I personally see all the benchmark assessments. The reason that applicants don't get into Navigate might be that they've never published a paper before, might be that they are students. We don't take graduate students unless they are also faculty members, which rarely, but does sometimes happen. So that would be some reasons that you don't get accepted into the Navigate program. Really, like if you meet the qualifiers, that's what we're looking for. Oh, another thing is sassiness on the application. Like you wouldn't believe that like sometimes people are downright like rude in the application. And I'm like, nope, because I'm protecting the room, right? I need to protect that space for us. Jenny asks, do you take postdoc fellows? Yes, we do. So we often, in a group of 25, we'll have 3 or 4 postdocs usually. Actually, like in a group of 25, we'll have 3 or 4 postdocs, 3 or 4 like department chairs, deans, even sometimes like people who are in a leadership position, and we'll have a mix of pre-post tenure, everybody else. So is Navigate only for tenure-track professors? That answers this question again for Jenny. We will take also like full-time researchers, postdocs. If you live someplace where they don't use the word tenure, or if you're in a university that doesn't have a tenure system, but has whatever system, they call it something different, like in the UK. What we're looking for is people who your full-time job is to be a professor and there is publication expectations. That's what we really need, no matter what like your actual title is. Will Navigate help me write my book is a question we get a lot. We do get book writers in the program, and just know that it's designed, when I say application or when I say article, you can think chapter. I know the two aren't exactly equivalent, but people do take Navigate to help them organize themselves, get their project management down to write their book as well. It is not a book writing program, but it's also not an article writing program in terms of like, we don't teach you how to write the different parts of an article. We teach you how to manage your publication pipeline, create a writing process for yourself. Do you cap the number of participants in the cohort? We have not capped. The reason is because we kind of want to see how many people sign up. The last 2 rounds have been a room full of 23 to 25 people. I feel like if we got to 30, we might split the group, but I'm not sure. So the answer to that question is no, we don't cap. You can expect there to be 20 to 30 people in the room. And what are the meeting times? Fridays at noon Eastern Standard. Another FAQ, can I keep the recorded modules forever? Actually, no, you can keep them for a year though, which is plenty of time. So either you do the 12-week Navigate program, and then you can keep access to all the recorded content for a year, Or if you re-enroll into another round, then we just reset that year clock every time you re-enroll. What if I need to miss some calls? Everybody misses some calls, so not a problem. We think that you will get the best results from the program if you don't miss more than 30% of the calls. What if I took a previous version of Navigate? So some people out there might have taken a version of this program before it was a 12-week program. You would have had to take it like prior to in like 2022 or earlier. If you have not taken 12-week Navigate, you should take 12-week Navigate. So if you've taken some older version of the program's been around since 2017, you should take the 12-week version of the program. What if my university funds don't process in time? We can't enroll you and start you in the program until we have funds in hand. So if you're sending a check, which still happens, we have to receive the check before we can enroll you in the program. What if I want to join a future cohort? I think that's fine, but let's solve your problems as soon as possible. So don't think like, well, I'll do it in the summer because I'll have more time. Actually, I like people to do Navigate during the semesters because they have to find an hour to watch the videos and do the exercises and an hour to come to the call. They have to carve that out during the semester. And that's what you need to do if you're going to publish your backlog of papers, is have 2 hours a week to dedicate to writing. So I wouldn't wait to the summer. But if you know that like the summer is when it's better for you, or maybe you teach during the call time, then you can apply now and go through the process and then be ready to join for the summer cohort. So get on the wait list. Thank you so much for coming today, especially like at this time of the semester. Maybe you just turned in grades, or maybe you still have to. I know that people have holiday related stuff to do or might be traveling. So thanks to all of you who came today. Thanks to all of you who are listening to the recording. And yeah, just anything that you might need, send us an email at support@scholarsvoice.org. Thanks everyone for coming today. Have a wonderful day and a great holiday season. I'll see you in the new year. Bye.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.